we get started, we have many cold drinks and water, snacks over here if anyone would like to have it. I'd just like to take a moment to welcome you to this work session, and this is a work session, so there will be no comment from the public. This is just a solid discussion with the county and our city. And we're grateful for this moment to be able to work together as city and county officials. Blake and I, the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, rise to Athens once a month for the Northeast Georgia Regional Council, and he and I share on the way there back. And just so you know, I believe that the city council really have a good working relationship. I believe that as well. We both thought it would be nice if the city and county could actually come together and talk about a couple of things. Just see what's in your mind, what's on your thought, and to see how we can better work together as officials for our city and our county. And I think the more we do this, the better we are going to become. We're going to have prayer by Council Member Reed, Mayor Pro Tem Reed. Pledge of Allegiance first by Council Member Joyce. Let us stand, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would like to pray with us, would you please remain standing? Eyes closed and heads bowed, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today seeking your guidance and your wisdom as we gather for this city council and county meeting. We ask that you bless the members of this council and the commissioners, granting us discernment and clarity as we make decisions that impact our community. May your will be done in our city and our county, and may we be good stewards of the resources and opportunities that you provided. Guide our decisions that we may be characterized by respect, empathy, and commitment, and to serve the city for a greater good. Amen.
Amen. I'd also like to call on Chairman Blake to make comments if he wishes to at this time.
Thank you, Mayor, and I hope I can work this microphone well. We don't have these at the county commission. But, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council, for hosting us. Thank you, County Commissioners, for participating. I think it's very important that we do work together and try to make sure we're making the decisions that are best for all the citizens of Morgan County and Madison. Y'all are the county charter and very crucial to the county, and we value that very much. And I think that this meeting, although I don't know we're going to maybe come out of here with high expectations that we're going to do this or we're going to do that, at least it opens a dialogue between the two and gives us opportunity to continue this dialogue and continue having these conversations to move forward more collaboration between the two of us.
Thank you.
And just to start the conversation, I'd just like for those of you who are here to know that the city and county are working together on some things. I believe our city manager, Mr. Clem, and the county manager, Mr. Metchers, do have conversations probably once a week discussing priorities in our city and in our county. And some of the things that the city and county are working on together is our police and sheriff department are working together. Our public safety dispatch is working good together. Our county lockup is working good together. Our county fire department, along with our city fire department, works well together. Our EMS team, our recreation department, public works, our animal control team, leaf and limb, glass recycling, tax collection, tax assessment, water utility, and gas utility. Mr. Blake, you may have other things that you know that the city and county are working on together.
Mayor, I think you covered it. I'm sure there are some other things. I'm sure there's things that are going on that I can't think of right now. I see Adam shaking his head yes, but I know there's many things that are going on behind the scene. I think that these three topics we have here to discuss today are a great starting point to better this relationship and better our collaboration.
Okay, and at this time, we're gonna turn over to Chairman Blake. We talked about the comprehensive plan collaboration, to tell us what you see and what's on your mind.
Yeah, so as we're looking at we got Chuck and Tara here from our office. I see Monica's here with y'all. I just trying to figure out what the best plan is. I was part of the comprehensive plan last time on the steering committee when I was on planning and zoning, and it's a very important piece for the county and also for the city, as I know y'all know. But the last one we didn't partner. We partnered with all the other cities except for Madison. So I was just wanting to see if we could discuss and what the reasons for that were, and if there's any opportunities for us to work collaboratively, moving forward because what happens in Madison affects what happens everywhere else in the county. So I do think it's an important document that we try to work together on, and I think it could be some, not just cost savings, but more from a collaboration and a good document that everyone has and guide us as we go through all this difficult growth that we're facing, so, or potential growth.
So what do you foresee as the city and county working together collaboratively on the comprehensive plan?
Basically just that, to have a discussion, and I think it's something that we would need to involve staff with more than just us talking about it, but get staff's involvement and get, understand why the city didn't want to, or why, maybe it's we're using Northeast Georgia Regional Commission last time. Maybe it was maybe it was the facilitator that was involved, but just try to find what the hurdles were, why we didn't do it collaboratively last time, and if we can make it work this time. And it may be a point where we say, hey, it just doesn't make sense, but I think it's worth the discussion.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Blake, we did, I think we did the 5-year update of the 10-year plan a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Is the one that you're saying we didn't work together on, was it that 5-year?
It was the last,
a couple of years ago?
It was the 10-year.
Oh, the original one, okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. County one, yeah.
Are you on the same calendar as we are then when it comes to doing your county plan as opposed to our city plan?
Are we, Chuck? Are we on the same calendar as the city? Yes. And as far as submitting to the state.
Because I know I'm pointing out the obvious, but the difference between the county land and the city land is a line of like a millimeter wide. And it's good to remember that I believe close to 25% of your county residents live in the city. And anywhere we go, we're driving through county, and I know every one of us is here because we love the way our county looks, and the agricultural, agrarian look of it, I think, is really critical. And to find the balance of growth that works for you guys at the county and us in the city is really, really important. So I'm all in favor of working together on the comp plan going forward. I think it's a great idea. We have too many interests in common and too much overlap to not work together.
So what you think it'll be feasible then, like to have our staff and y'all staff to work together along with our managers? If that's possible.
Best route, whenever it's convenient for y'all to get together, we can all plan another meeting if we want to have managers involved. If we want to have Mayor for yourself, I'd be more than happy to be in that meeting and get Chuck and team in there too. So that's definitely a good start. So.
Yeah, if I may, I think it's critical that we start with the intent, which is what we're doing right now. We're saying our intention is to see where we can go with that, and then I think the rest of it can fall in place as long as we continue to want to stay with that intent and keep that intent. And I know we got some really smart people in the city and the county that can help figure out the best path forward on that. But I think it's a great idea too. I think, and I also think, I know we'll get to it, but I think with the comprehensive plan, some of what we'll identify, what we both want to see in the comprehensive plan is when we start looking at sort of the economic development planning as well. I think that those are kind of joined at the hip, really, if you will. So, so having that, and we'll talk about that more, but I do agree with you. And again, if all of us are on board with the intent to see how we can make the comprehensive, how that can work jointly, I think that's great.
If I could add just one point, last night we had a kind of a, well, this room was overflowing as we talked about our transportation plan. And one of the comments that was repeated a number of times from a number of our citizens was the encouragement to work together with the county. We must have heard that from, what, 6 different people. I know a couple of you from the county were at the meeting last night, and, but that suggestion was made repeatedly by a number of our citizens. So it's not just us think it's a good idea.
Are there any more comments from any of our council members or commissioner members?
Well, I think if you look back several years, you see that there was a previous county manager, some people here didn't always see eye to eye.
Microphone.
There was a road.
Could you slide that in and then hit the center button?
Just hit the- yeah.
Thanks, sir.
In the previous life of the county, the previous county manager, I don't think had a great working relationship with the city manager, but I think now that's, even when Adam came on board, he had a real good working relationship with David. I think he's got a good working relationship with us. I think that's where it starts. I think it starts with the managers, and then if the planning and zoning folks can get together on something, it should be able to work. Just have to see if they are thinking of like mind and how to do this. Which they probably are, because it seems like y'all want to live in Grove. I know we want to live in Grove, so something should come out of it.
I
Thank
think
you.
that's a fair assessment of what it was in the previous and compared to now, for sure.
I think that's a fair assessment, but I also think we need to make sure that everyone is at the table. We need to make sure the times that we have it or whenever we have our meetings,
Mhm.
we need to make sure that every commissioner, every city council staff, and both city manager and county manager are all together. We don't want just one person making decisions for everybody.
No, but they can do the legwork. I mean, but they can do some of the behind the scenes legwork
Mhm.
to bring it to a proposal.
That staff can, yes. And I still want everyone to be together, so I want to make sure we make decisions for the entire county, city.
And what will probably happen, Mayor Pro Tem Reed, is if staff and the managers have a meeting, they will come back to this group and let us know what they have
What the proposal is.
discussed or came up with. And then the decision will be us, between the two boards, if they want to go forward or stay where they are or where we are. Yeah,
I like it.
thank you. Any more comments, Jim?
Go ahead. Go
One
to.
of the conversations that I took away from last night, nobody said it directly, but different people look at this thing called One Morgan.
Mhm.
And I've always stuck in here someplace, but we're all in this together. That was a message that I heard last night, was that we're all in this together. And the decision that one body makes affects everybody, as simple as that. So, One Morgan.
Yeah. And the other thing I was going to add to that, again, this is, I mean, really what we're doing is establishing a new relationship, you know, between the council and who exists on the council today, who exists on the commission today. And I know that, well, I can't speak for everyone, I guess, but I think I can in the sense that we're really looking forward to this and working forward to collaborating. I will say, I hope that some of the history that doesn't pertain to us anymore in terms of those relationships, I hope that we can leave those in the past, because this is a new thing. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, sometimes it's like, I think we have both sides have to be kind of flexible as we move forward. Like, you know, maybe what we're gonna be asked to do and asking to do won't necessarily be exactly what we want, because there's a little give and take going on. But I mean, what I'm hoping is that nobody I'm hoping there's no wrenches thrown in the mix and it all just falls apart. I mean, we've got to, everybody, I know, you all are smart and clever people, and you all really care about the county and the city, but anyway, I'm just sort of saying, let's hope we can drive this and stay in the positive with this, as opposed to, dredge, well, 10 years ago, blah, blah, blah. I didn't. Anyway, so that's kind of my point. I just want to keep it on the high note.
Right. And I think one way to measure this, Councilmember Bessie, is to, when we have these meetings or forum, measure by the attendance between the council members and the commissioners. They're all here today, and I believe they're here for one reason, and that's to see if we can work together, not just today, but in the future.
Let me jump in on some of this, and for us to give, to direct staff to do some of these looking into it, but I think we as elected officials, we need to give staff some kind of guidance because there's so many different ways you can go right there, and we all gotta get on board. We are elected officials, we are the representatives of this community.
Yes.
And for that, we have to kind of tell them, this is what the general direction we want to go in, and for that, they have to have some kind of idea of which way to go,
So if I may, I did put something together regarding that and how we could ask staff to do the work for us, and I would suggest that we ask staff to prepare the necessary vision, goals, and task statements first. Let's determine, we need that foundation, don't we? We need to know where we're going with it, and they can help us with those things. So we're asking for the vision, goals, and task statements, and then a necessary RFP documents for the city and council approval. And, it'd be great if we could at least get something in the works in the next 2 months. Again, just a outline, a format. Here's what we're looking at, and then we look at that and say, oh, yeah, or we tweak it and say, well, what about this? I mean, there will be doing a lot of adding and subtracting perhaps, but just maybe the footprint.
But isn't it Philip's point, though, that we, as the elected representatives of the citizens, should be setting the policy? Maybe we should come first and tell them some overarching guidelines that we want. Ben mentioned limiting growth. I mean, shouldn't we set that kind of policy ahead of time and then have staff fit in the details of how to accomplish those goals that we, as the policymakers, have set up?
And I agree 100%, but I think what we're talking about here is, on this one topic, is just the actual collaboration of the plan. So I think we need to get from staff, the reasons why we didn't do it in the past and any pros and cons to that. And then the comprehensive plan, for sure, we as elected officials need to be very engaged in driving that and getting engagement from our constituents to be a part of it, to participate, because that is a guiding document. It's the document that holds that's what they look at. DCA looks at if we're going to apply for a grant. It's got to be in that document and housed in there and specified. And we've got to be, it gives us a goals to work towards. So, but I do agree that we need to direct staff. But I think on this particular issue, it's more or less we need to hear from staff why we didn't do it together, and then what the pros and cons are from doing it together opposed to not doing it.
So I'm curious, I'm hearing you, but I'm curious why you feel like it's necessary that we know why we didn't do it together. Maybe it just didn't happen. Maybe I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, if there is any cons to us doing it together, I guess is what I would want to know from staff, just because I'm not I haven't dealt with these companies that we used. We used Northeast Georgia Regional Commission. I think y'all went with a different firm last time, and it may be dollars or it may have been expertise. So.
Understood. So even to Eric's point, that we direct staff to tell us why we didn't do it last time based on this, on,
Correct.
What were the cons, as opposed to just, getting into history or.
Yeah, not history of
gotcha.
because we know the county didn't want to do this, or we knew the city didn't want to do X, but more or less, hey, we really need this vendor because we are a city and the county was able to get away with, maybe that's the case. I don't want to speculate too much on it, but.
And maybe, I think my personal feeling is that, but I think the council and the commission do want to be involved. But I think we need to go back to staff and on both city and county side, and go back to our city manager and county manager, and let them come up with a plan to bring to us as to how we could really work together on some things. I don't want to we don't need to start directing staff and telling them what to do. But staff have a boss that they have to report to. So would it be feasible, don't you think?
Yeah.
To let the staff work with their bosses and then come back to us with a plan?
Or at least recommendations for us to make a decision.
Recommendation?
You know, that way we can at least know what's out there, what the differences are, and, because I know there's more involved to it than just what I knew being a part of it. You know, I'm sure there's some more behind-the-scenes stuff that go into it that we would need that information to make a well-educated decision on, so.
So let me say something about that.
Sure.
Mayor, don't you think it's kind of, if you don't give them some kind of guidance, they're gonna come up with a plan and bring this plan over here, and then somebody's gonna say, we don't like this, start over again. So you gotta give them some kind of guidance, where you are, where you wanna be a year from now, where you wanna be 5 years from now. And they gotta have some kind of idea, because otherwise, how are they gonna direct if they don't know which route to go? You know, they can go left, right, up, down, this and that. You know, you got to give them some kind of guidance to try to figure out what's the end goal here.
I think the guidance and the end goal, I think we should be, we want to do it together. And if there's a reason we can't do it together, please show us that, but we still want to make the decision, you know, to do it together, unless there's something that we're just not foreseeing right now, so. I would say the direction, unless y'all disagree, would be we want to do a joint comprehensive plan, or at least see the, you know, the information, the pros and cons to it, so. And then when the comprehensive plan comes, that's when you're doing the planning, that's when we're talking about growth, that's when we're talking about what goes where.
Right, but to Philip's point, and Eric's, is there, would we want to, I mean, I find this so interesting, because we're just trying to figure this out, right? But I mean, would there be, would we want to come back, I mean, right now, we're just talking about it at the table. Would we want to come back as a group and just sort of talk about, in fact, the council could do it on our own to start with. You guys, Philip and I talked about this, where we just kind of list like top 10 priorities or our top 20 priorities. We come with our list, you come with yours. Not that we're going to duke it out, but so we can sit down and we can then identify the top 10 that are most important for the both of us. In that way, we can kind of direct the staff then to start looking at it in this way. I mean, does that make sense? I mean, I think we don't even know. I mean, I know we talk about, you know, limiting growth. I know you know, the county is talking about limiting growth, but we don't know what you mean by that. And if we talk about limited growth or smart growth or whatever, you may not know what we mean by that. So I think some of those would be worth defining more closely and just having discussions about. I don't know. What do you think, Rick? I'm putting you on the
I
spot.
think that's planning staff on the city and the county, with the city and the county manager to help us, guide us through that.
Mm-hmm.
And just like we come up with it on our end, we won't have every meeting with the county. But
Right.
I think on the donut that Monica referred to around the city, and some opportunities for limiting the growth to that area. I mean, that's some of our thoughts. I don't know if she's conveyed that with the folks in the county or not, but those are things that I think Monica has a pretty good reading on what the city wants, and we have opportunity to share that with her. So I think Blake is just asking, do we even want to work together? And some of y'all are assuming that we do, and we probably will, and saying, how do we do it? So
I think step one is, are we going to collaborate together? And then step two is, all right, we're going to collaborate together, then let's really sit down and give that direction, and then where the meeting's going to be held, how we're going to have them, you know, Chuck and I actually discussed, like when we did the comprehensive plan last time, we included the other cities, but we broke them out in the comprehensive plan on purpose. So that way, if you're looking for your section in there, you didn't have to read through all of the county. You could just flip to Rutledge or Buckhead or whoever was in there, So that's the kind, I think it's step one is, are we going to collaborate? And then we're on to the deep dive of the comprehensive
I
plan.
don't think you want to get out of the skis. I think we gotta let the two
Yeah.
talk and see if there's some common ground first. It's not even wasting your time giving the rest until you know that this is working. And once you figure out it's working, then you figure out. That's just the way I would think.
But do you see any benefit though, Ben, in having us come up with 5 general principles that the city and the county agree on regarding comprehensive plans?
I'm sorry, say that first part of it again. Did I see a problem?
Do you see a benefit in having the city and the county get together and come up with just, not 25, but maybe just 5 overarching principles of what we think is important for the comp plan for growth? Like, do we want,
I don't see a problem with it.
He's-
If that's something you want to do. I just think that, like I said, I mean, you can come up with that, but you still got to go through the motions of figuring it out. I don't know what the reasoning was, the collaboration wasn't there before. I don't know. I've heard some stuff, but I don't know, and I'm not going to say some stuff. So we'll just have to figure it out. And if they can do it, fine. And then if you want to come up with a few overarching principles, I think that's fine too. I don't think there's a wrong answer. Not at this point. I mean, just talking about it, I don't think there's a wrong answer.
But if I may ask you this, Ben,
I'm not going to answer one question.
oh,
No, go ahead.
I'm with Ben.
don't make me take you outside. No, I mean, do you want to collaborate, do you want to collaborate with us? Are you willing?
Oh, you mean on the comprehensive plan?
Yeah, or,
I mean, we do it with other cities, it would make sense to do one
Okay.
for everybody.
Sure.
I mean, I would think it would make sense. I mean, I don't know what y'all's needs are. I don't know why it wasn't done before.
gotcha. Right, no, awesome. No, I like that. So, but then the only thing that concerns me though, I mean, if our intent, are we all on board, if I may ask? Is there anybody that's sort of dubious about collaborating? I mean, I guess we should identify that.
I think we should collaborate. We're in Madison, Georgia, which is a part of Morgan County. It would make sense for us to all be on one accord for all the citizens that's in our city and in our county. But that's just me. Perception is different. I'm not on city council just for the city of Madison. I live in Morgan County as well. So that means that I want the city to do well in all the cities and the county as a whole. So why would we not want to collaborate?
You probably got economies, I'm a finance guy, so you probably got economies of scale too. You can probably save some money if you collaborate.
Right.
There's always that, I always look at that.
For me, I think working together with great council. My district is District 1, which encompasses a lot of city limits.
Right.
So for whatever benefits the city get, we're gonna pass along to my district, my people in my district. So whatever we can work out would be good.
And I think there are 3 commissioners that have some people in the city. I don't think I have any in the city. I used to, but I think now.
Everybody but you and I don't have anybody.
You and I don't have anybody in the city? Okay.
Yeah.
So Nathan's you got a little chunk of the city then?
I think you're just Rutledge, aren't you?
Yeah, it's not easy finding those maps, I tell you.
He's getting here.
You better. You better find out who your people are. I'm kidding.
I had 2 people at one time, but I don't.
Two, that's great. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you do
I
now.
don't cross the lines,
Then you don't.
so I wouldn't have any in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so. I know Philip has a chunk, but Carl's got the vast majority.
Yeah, cars, yes.
So, and the reason I asked that, to kind of get a confirmation about where we stand with this, was this. Because you, and I totally appreciate saying, turn it back to our managers and let them kind of work out if it will work or not. But my point is, I think we need to direct the managers that we want this to work. You guys kind of figure out a way. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, and I think that's I don't like this thing. I I'm not happy with it. I think that's fine. I think, but you just gotta make sure, not so much the managers, you gotta make sure the people doing it,
Right.
the planning and zoning people are all on the same mindset. That's really the key component to this,
Mm-hmm.
not the managers.
Okay. Well, sorry, then I misunderstood. Well, no, I didn't really, but it sounded like there
I
was.
just mean, you know, you know, your managers kind of direct the staff.
Right, right.
Staff works for them, so that's all I'm saying.
Right, gotcha.
And so, Councilman Bessie, you asked the question, were we all on the same page? Did everybody want to collaborate? And I believe they do. Just from the nods on their faces, I think they think that this is the time to do it, you know, so enough for comprehensive?
I think we're good there.
Okay, so we're gonna move to Councilmember Betsy, Economic Development Collaboration.
Good.
Councilmember?
Yes, thank you. And so you guys have, you folks, people, have a stapled packet and then sort of a loose sheet. Right there, yeah, Ben, you got it right in front of you. So look, first of all, this is just high level economic development planning. I mean, I know the city has strategies and goals and methods in place. You guys have the same thing. But again, together, it's just like the comprehensive plan. I think a lot of how we talk about economic development planning would be similar to how we talk about comprehensive planning. And I also think, well, one of the components of an economic development plan is the comprehensive plan. So, and just forgive me for a minute, it's not like, I, my own self, needed to look at what exactly are the components of an economic development plan. I mean, a proper plan, I want to see, I want to see one. I want to have its title. We have comprehensive plan, and it says comprehensive plan, and it's all spelled out. But I haven't seen a spelled out, like a fancy, well, of course, it's in the comprehensive plan, but I mean, I just want to see a economic development plan. But, and so even in us looking at that, I mean, I'm not going to read everything, but if we start looking at what is involved in our planning, and I'm sure in your guys as well, community stakeholder engagement, we've done that. We can do more of that. Assess existing assets and resources. We've done that when it comes to it. Economic base analysis. Tourism and community branding is one thing. Now, personally, as I mentioned, we talked about this at a work session. I mean, I think we're kind of down for the branding. I think Morgan County is really kind of, has its stamp on a map pretty bit, but we could probably do more of that. Entrepreneurship, education and workforce development. And as we go through this, one thing, and I think about the workforce, one thing it's not on here that I thought that I was reminded of later was workforce housing. I mean, that's got to be a critical factor when we start talking about the plan. The sustainability and green development, we certainly are carving out lots of green space to preserve, and I know you are too, and you're devoting some funding to make that happen, which is amazing. Retaining the residents, financial funding strategy, anyway, so forth and so on. So all of those things. I mean, some of them fit in to our plan somewhat. Some of them we need to add more into our plan. But I just got through this there. But more important, I mean, for me, what I did was I looked at rural Morgan County and Madison, and I went through and tried to figure out, here's the deal. The city, we tend to be somewhat more reactive than proactive. When somebody comes in and says, I want to develop this property, then we start dealing with them and figuring out how they're going to do it and what they want and whether that meets, our standards. I know there's been some pro-development or economic planning, but I haven't seen enough of that. And I just think now we've got a lot of land sitting out there. You've got it in the county, we've got some here in the city. I am naive, so you'll just have to forgive that, but I just don't know why we can't be more proactive in going after what we want and courting certain people. And I don't mean courting, the fat cats that come in and they want to put in, a million square foot distribution centers or data centers. I mean, why can't we go after the people that will be an asset to our city and our county. And I've got some examples here. Now, I did leave in number one, which is that's where I'm kind of on that third page now of industry ideas that would be conducive to Morgan County. You know, the first one, of course, we see is logistics and distribution center. You know, for us, that's the elephant in the room, and I think it might be for you guys too, but of course, because we just came off of the whole traffic transportation plan, and the last thing we want are to add any more trucks than we have to. I mean, we need the industry, but we don't need the truck traffic. So, but I left that in there because we do need to talk about it. I mean, at some point, if we're gonna go forward with doing a joint economic development plan and even a comprehensive plan, we need to know what your vision is for the amount of truck traffic that we add to the county. I mean, and you know, it costs you guys too, of course, because it's roads, maintaining roads, you know, and that sort of thing. So, but it's in there, but that's something kind of to think about. But then going forward, you know, we've got the food processing and packaging, and what I did is got the reasoning there for why, and I'm not gonna go through every single one. I would hope you would look at it on your own. But then there's examples of what like the food processing and packaging would involve. And then even some example companies that can be expanding, that may be looking for someplace to go, and so forth and so on. And so like, for example, we've got Tyson Foods, we've got Georgia Organics, Chobani. You know, some of these, yeah, no, that would never happen in a heartbeat, but it's to spark ideas, to say like, well, what about, you know, and then it sort of shows what their typical footprint would look like if we did bring them in. What I didn't do, and I should have, and I could go back and do that, is then figure out what the traffic looks like regarded to them. What's the trucks and the size of their employment, because for the city, that's a concern. We want to keep it low. I think we have a, what are we, 250? Anybody? Our ideal, no, for a number of employees.
It says 5,100 in our comp plan. We know that to be
5,100?
5,100.
No, but per.
So the citizen input was 200, and
Okay.
then in the comp plan, it was articulated between 50 and 100.
Okay, so limits, even limits to, because again, we're gonna be stuck with providing workforce housing. So we do want, you know, we want the best of both worlds. We want this beautiful industry that comes in, that contributes to our tax base, that only hires 100 people who already have a place to live, you know, and only uses 2 trucks a week. Obviously, that's not gonna happen, but we can get closer to that than we are now, as far as I'm concerned. And then there's, you know, there's all sorts of other things. And again, I know so many of these, you know, wouldn't pan out in a heartbeat, but again, my dream would be to pick up the phone and call Nestle or do some research. Are they expanding? Find which companies are expanding, which ones are growing, which ones are looking to put a plant somewhere. You know, and you nip it in the bud, and you get them even before they've gotten too far out there. And then you start courting them and saying, look what we have. I mean, people want to come here. Let's get people that want to, let's find those that we want to come here too. That doesn't mean that doesn't happen. We do get people that want to come here and that we want to be here, but not necessarily always. And sometimes, of course, our hands are tied when it comes to what the state tells us we have to do. But any rate, it's sort of all of that sort of thing that I think it's kind of worth exploring even more about how we can be more proactive with the industry that we get in here. And then that kind of last couple pages in that stapled document just kind of deals with more. And one of those, it deals with more of that. And like I said, the only thing I really kind of overlooked to start with was adding workforce housing in terms of adding to the plan. But on that very last page, the very last item is film and media production facilities. I mean, that could be that could be a go, especially if the film industry is now required to film in the U.S. only.
I was gonna say,
Actually, that'll shoot down.
Well, and on that point, I think it's also important for us to understand what we already have, and because, you know, it's a lot easier to just be better at what you're already doing good at.
Yes.
You know, which is film industry, agritourism, things of that nature. but also data. I know that Mark and Adam have had a company reach out they're both looking at me like, what are you about to talk about, Blake? It's road AI data that came from, we all use our phones. Everybody uses their phone with the map everywhere we go. And I've always wondered, why are they giving this to us for free? It's got to cost some money, to be able to put all this in there. Well, what they've been doing is collecting all of our data for all these years, and it's good, clean data. It tells us who's riding through the area, how much, where they came from, where they ended up at, how long they stayed here. If they're here for more than 10 minutes, more than likely they spent money with us, because we do have, I'll have to verify this, but I think outside of Metro Atlanta, once we get this exit 103, we'll have more exits in any other county in the state on I-20, I believe. I mean, we got a lot of them.
That's interesting.
And a lot of road frontage, so we need to look at what's been working for us, like that Loves. I've been told that's the busiest Loves in the state of Georgia. It has really helped us with sales tax revenue. It's helped us be able to divert some of that property tax, be able to reduce property tax because we've been able to get all the revenue off of the sales tax dollars coming from those kind of businesses. So I think it's, for us, there's a whole lot of stuff we can look at with that. And I don't know the exact, the best way to go about it, but I do think it's looking at what we already have, how those things are performing, and then getting clean data, good data on what's coming through and what would be a good fit for us.
That's exactly right. And one of the things with any of these that we may attract, all right? So as we're talking about attracting industry, I mean, in some cases, it's just sort of straight up industry. People come to work, they go home, trucks go, they come, that sort of thing. In certain industries, like the film production, like you think about Pinewood Studios and a lot of those other movie set sites, sometimes a whole little small town crops up around that to kind of make it more convenient for them to operate with their employees and with the production crews and so forth and so on. And for the city, we want to be very careful that we don't replicate a downtown somewhere else that is that's only serving, let's say, that entity. I mean, we want to really make sure that we drive them either to existing businesses within the county or here in the city itself for that revenue, so that we continue to be a vibrant, thriving city.
And you bring up a great point, and this is just Commissioner McCormick. I'm not speaking for the whole board on this, but my view of it, and I've shared this with my constituents, is I don't want us to see annexation issues that other counties are seeing now because of just that, because the county got into the treated water business and decided to run a water line down here, and then all this development spurred up. We want to, that's why the collaboration on the comprehensive plan is so important, because we want the cities to grow how the cities want to grow, and us actually to shrink, and not have these little nodes out in the unincorporated areas of the county that then become annexed and new cities created out of them. So that's just, Blake's 2 cents on it. But.
Yeah, got it. No, that's great. So the only other thing I was just going to cover, again, on just the very high level approach, is this whole experiential tourism. We do really well with the heritage tourism, and some feel that may be declining, some feel it's picking up and doing much better. It doesn't matter whether it's declining or increasing. The problem is, not the problem, but we seem to have a lot of our eggs in one basket. We ought to have our eggs in a lot of baskets, and this would, especially within the county, some of these experiential tourism things could, and again, some of this won't apply to us at all, but it could be wineries they also could be event centers, and they have wine tasting, and people are attracted to that. Safari Park is a perfect example of experiential tourism. Organic farming. I mean, how better can we preserve our agrarian community by attracting, and people, it's lucrative. It's a lucrative thing. Can we get organic farmers in, and then can we get them to provide an experience there as well, which is very possible. People come and do homestays. They want to work on an organic farm for a while, something like that. So I think there's a lot. I'm not even really thrilled with my examples, because I think I could even do better targeting Morgan County for that. But But I think it's something we really need to think about. And again, generating what we want. We want these folks to come in, we want them to drop a bundle, and then we want them to go home. I think, in some ways.
We want them to plan a trip again next year, though, too. You know?
Yeah, that's
We want
right.
'em- we want 'em to
And
come
tell their
back.
friends and come on. But I mean, that's, is that a pipe dream? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think somewhat it's feasible. We have that now. I mean, and even out in the county, you've got, what is it 100 Acre Farm that has the horse, that does the horse, which one is that?
That's,
Southern
Southern
Cross, I'm so
Cross.
sorry. And I know that. I just get it confused sometimes. I mean, they do great business, and they have a lot. They get, weekend stays, they got week stays. That, I mean, we could do, more of that could work out. I mean, so I'm just saying, I'd just like us to think about, even as we think about our comprehensive plan and as we think about our economic development plan, let's think about what we want to see here. If we don't say what we want, if we don't have an idea of it, then there's a slimmer chance of us getting it. And even if we say what we want and it's completely outside the realm of possibility, at least we've thrown it out there, and then we can reel it back in and come as close as we can to it. That's all. Personally, I'm tired, for the city, I can't speak for the county, of just sort of being more reactive with industry.
So I don't claim a lot of expertise in economic development. That hasn't prevented me from forming an opinion or two, though. So a couple of my thoughts on this. I like the businesses that we have in Madison now. I like the way they're sized, building-wise, employee numbers-wise, traffic impact-wise. They're not demanding a lot of use of our water and sewer. 150 employees, like Monica said, in our comp plan. The BD Bard, the JDR, I can name a dozen of them we have in Madison now. And that's what I think fits well with the size of our community. Negative impacts are low, whether it be truck traffic, but it provides the income we need. But I will say that a lot of people think we are way out of balance with our split of revenue from residential to industrial to commercial. And I think our industrial, if I'm not mistaken, is it 18% of our, it's 18% of our city revenues come in from our industrial base right now. So it's not like we're way behind the 8 ball in terms of getting businesses. But that's my personal preference. We have a town of 5,000, a county of 20. That's pretty small in the scheme of things. And to have businesses that are bigger and require more affordable housing and more road capacity and all those other things, it presents challenges to us. So the kind of business I would like to be going after are ones that kind of fit in the scale that makes more sense for Madison. That's kind of my layman's opinion on that.
So I guess then, in essence, then, if you feel that if we had a bigger industry here, sorry. In essence, is if we had a bigger industry here, it'll bring in more people, and that's what you don't want to see.
Well, I wouldn't put it in those terms, Mayor. A bigger industry, there's so many variables that go into that. Where is it going to be? Is it going to be in the county? Is it going to be in the city? How many jobs are we talking about? That's a consideration. How much traffic is this going to generate? That's a big thing in Madison. We learned that with the overflow crowd last night. You mentioned traffic, and oh my goodness. So that's a real important consideration. The revenue is important. I don't want to underestimate the amount of revenue we can get from more businesses, but the cost of that revenue sometimes is really bad for the quality of life that we cherish in Morgan County and in Madison. And that's what my concern is for bigger impact development.
Well, let me go ahead and address the elephant in the room. You mentioned it. The state's gonna do something. Whether it be Reuben or whether it be something else, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars.
That's right.
They're gonna put something there.
That's right.
It's likely gonna employ a lot of people.
It is.
And you gotta, your hands might be a little bit tied. I see Monica nodding her head back there. You gotta figure out, how much do you go after stuff right now? Because if they're gonna bring something in here, they are, whatever it is, they are.
Mhm.
Then they're gonna employ people, they're likely gonna pay a good wage. So, do you want to start trying to bring more stuff now, do you wanna wait a little bit and see the impact of what's gonna happen there? Because something is gonna happen there. And if you bring in something here, everybody that works for this place here might go up there and do it. So you gotta think about that. You gotta think about the impactfulness of that. Now, if it's a small specialty type business, maybe not. But if it's just like some of these things here, like some industrial thing, maybe so. I don't know. But that's the elephant in the room. And I personally think I don't know if Rivian will ever, well, if they get the loan, which I think they're gonna probably end up getting, which it is a loan, it's not a grant. If they get the loan, I think they'll build something. Now, whether or not they occupy, or whether or not Volkswagen or somebody buys them out, I have no idea. I don't know what's happening. Maybe they'll just go away. Maybe the state will put something else there. But they spent too much money to let that piece of money sit.
Yeah,
It's
and,
not gonna happen.
yeah, and GDOT has spent, we've all seen
We
the new
spent too much money.
interchange going up and the new frontage road. I mean,
He
they,
can probably tell you how much GDOT spent.
yeah.
Not right off the cusp, I can't, but I do know just in signalization and everything up there around Rivian and all, it was around 1.5 million just in signalization.
Wow.
Well, they spent 2 or 300.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the road infrastructure, I
Oh, definitely.
can get that number, but I don't have it off the top of my head.
How about all the sod out there? You seen that sod? It's nice.
Well, is your recommendation, Ben, that we maybe,
Oh,
I'm just cautioning you. Because I don't know what's gonna happen. I have no idea what they're gonna do. Everybody thinks I know. I don't. I have no idea where they're even coming from. But I can tell you one thing, something's gonna,
yeah, without a doubt. I agree with that for sure.
I mean,
Well-
it suited me, it was a dog trap.
That'd be great. Let's do it.
I remember 5 years ago, I think I went to one of GDOT's presentations on the changes they were doing to I-20 there. And I remember asking the highest ranking guy I could find at that public comment section out there. And I said, so what if Rivian blows out? What are you gonna, all the money you've spent on this? And he said, oh, we don't care if Rivian's there or not. Someone's gonna go there. This is infrastructure improvement for Georgia's future. 5 years from now, 10, 20 years from now. And I-
And those bonds that Rivian issued, everybody's worried about who's gonna pay for the bonds, nobody. Those are phantom bonds, they pay for them themselves. If they go under, the bonds go away. It's just the way it works. They're self-financing through that structure, is the way it happens. Not everybody understands that structure, that's.
legal money laundering. Instead of paying $750 million a year, they're paying $1.5 million a year on a pilot payment for right now, so, to use the 5 billion.
Their pilot payments are 1.5.
1.5, yeah.
1.5 million.
Well, that pilot payment is paid for your new rec center, I believe, is that right? Well, at least most of it, a part of it.
The 150 grand we're gonna
Well,
get,
never
if
mind
we
then.
get that, yeah.
Didn't
Pay
mean
for
to go there.
1/10 of a mile to get paved, so.
Controls that property for 3 more years.
Yeah,
As long as they make their pilot payments of 1.5 million a year, which is chump change,
Some
they
change.
control that property for 3 more years. And then either they build or they go away, whatever. Or the state decides to, I guess the state can decide to end the relationship, but, I imagine they'll let them hang on for a while longer and see what happens.
well, is Rivian stock going up as fast as Tesla's is going down?
I don't know, I don't have anything to do with Rivian stock, I wouldn't touch any of it.
Smart.
Well, I appreciate what you said, Ben, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, at some point, well, I know, honey, but I just wanted to, what do we call it? I wanted to, oh, it doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
No, rebuff, no, validate, that's what I'm looking for. I want to validate you. But, look here, and so I appreciate what you said, make a good point, traffic, workforce housing, it's an employing lot. I mean, I even know a lot of our industry now has, especially when Rivian was first started, had some concerns about losing their workforce, especially if they were going to be subsidized, which was the rumor. I don't know if that was true or not, but the wages were going to be pretty good. I mean, are we going to lose our people? But let me say this. I'm not saying, are you suggesting? I'm not saying any of this, but I'm saying, do you have a sense that county, city, that if we hold off on growing too much yet and to wait to see, that's what I heard you say, to wait to see kind of how that plays out. And I guess my question is, is the county then kind of taking that attitude? Are you guys, I mean, are you all sort of looking at kind of putting a bit of brakes on industrial development, especially because of that?
Well, again, like we just voted on a 6-month moratorium on subdivisions today, just to be able to keep up with that growth. You know, we got 750 homes coming into Kingston. We've got the Madison Hill subdivision. We've got the new subdivision right up here next to the transfer station. So it's a lot of growth, and a lot of growth at once. You know, this county in 1844 was only 14,000 people. With the same land mass area, we've only got 20,000 now. That's not a lot of growth in the number of people living here. So to bring that many people in at once is going to be a huge shock to the system. So I think that for us, it's definitely, like I said before, and I think a lot of it, for us, it depends on where infrastructure is, and the infrastructure now lies in the cities. So for us to be directing or going after anything in the unincorporated county doesn't make any sense, because we start to create these nodes, and again, we don't know when Rivian's coming, what's going to happen, and I understand exactly what Ben's saying, and it's very true. Something is going to come there, but I also think, you know, we can only wait around so long to go, you know, what are you going to give us? And we kind of do have to be proactive and at least looking at what we already have and maybe improving on that, you know. But I don't think we can sit on our hands completely, because some of the stuff we're not going to be able to stop. Some of it, it's already zoned for it. You know, we've got all that property at I-20 in Buckhead that could easily come down and be industrial right at that exit down there. So.
That's a good point.
That definitely caught my eye today when I believe it was Commissioner Ryden's motion, and it passed unanimously to put the 6-month moratorium on, I think you called it large-scale residential development, is that it? And I was reminded, it wasn't that long ago, was it a year or two, that you put on a similar moratorium on new zoning changes, I think it was, near the Rivian property.
Because there's a lot of speculation. As soon as that got announced, you had a lot of people that came out here and were just wanting to get stuff under contract and then hopefully sell it before they even went to closing. You know, and that's honestly what was happening. So we wanted to prevent that. And like Chuck was speaking when he presented the moratorium to us today, we're not dealing with mom and pop builders that are coming in and wanting to do a few houses here or 20 houses in a subdivision. They're wanting to take down thousands of acres and put up thousands of homes. And we as the government have to have time to understand that and prepare for that, budget for that, fund that. So it's
Welcome,
definitely.
Conyers. I know.
Yep.
I was thinking about that. Yeah. Or limited to scale.
Well, I might imagine your zoning may do that already.
It does, but there's some things that we can't, you know.
Let me follow up on some of this stuff, what was just said right there.
Is your mic on, Philip?
It should be. My thinking is right there, we have to come together and figure out what's a healthy growth rate? How many jobs do we need every year? What's too much? What's not enough? What kind of industry fits in this? You know, we still, agriculture, tourism, you know, there's some industries that fit in perfect, some of them don't fit in, you know. And I think regardless what happens up there with Rivian, you're out there, even so this will have a big impact on some of these, and you see it right there, what's happening across from the sheriff's office. There's going to be a bunch of warehouses going to be located right here, trying to accommodate that. But the question is that what we really want? You know, warehousing doesn't create a lot of good jobs, nothing like that. You know, it's just going in, going out. So, what I would like to see us do is both put some money in a pot, come up with an economic development study, somebody to tell us, okay, this is a healthy growth rate, this is what you're shooting for, this is the kind of industry that you want, and then go out and hire some person. You know, Bob's done a great job in the past, you know, but hire somebody and then go after this industry, bring it in here, you know, push it. if we need it. And if it's too much trying to come in here, just kind of back off a little bit, but stay within this growth rate, because what comes with it is the housing that you have to have, everything else that's tied to it, So if it explodes all of a sudden at one time, we're not prepared for the infrastructure. So you got to figure out what's good, what's too much, what's not enough.
And like we were talking about earlier, the human capital part of it too, we don't have the people. So those people will have to come from other areas, and we'll have to prepare for that too, so.
But I do like, and Philip, actually, when we sort of started this dialogue a little bit, I mean, I know there's been dialogue, peripheral dialogue going on about joint city, county, talking about economic development, such as growth. But we talked about doing doing a economic development plan, or finding a consultant that will come in and do it for the city and the county, and do a joint one and throw the money in together. The city has already been sitting on an RFP for a fiscal, I'm sorry, what's it called, Monica?
Fiscal impact analysis.
Thank you. Which, is somewhat similar to economic development plan, just a fiscal, sorry?
Impact analysis.
Impact. Just so we know, do we have the resources, do we have the money, do we have the space, do we have whatever? I mean, maybe that, part of that would be part of doing an economic plan, I don't know, but I think we should think about that. I mean, not only should we, which we have done, agree to look into collaborating on a comprehensive plan, and I think we need to think about doing and getting a survey done, a study done, an assessment done. I think that's important. Why should, let's get it right.
And one final assessment, FLOST, floating local options sales tax. And our city has not talked about this yet.
But GMA has.
Yeah, well, everybody, it's House Bill
Yeah, man.
581. And honestly, just my opinion, I think it was a great thing that it did. It's going to allow people to age in place, which has been a huge concern in our community here recently with once COVID hit and everyone decided they could move out and live in Morgan County and work from home and move from California, and they sell their house out there for 1.2 and come out and buy a house that was 300,000, now it's 600,000. So everyone's values went up. So what 581 did, in essence, is it locked it at the 2024 values, and it allows it only to raise at the CPI. There was a cap of 3%, but I think it's now removed. There was a cleanup bill this year that happened, Senate Bill 92 or House Bill 92, I can't remember which one it was, but it put some more restrictions on it where you can't, if you have 100 acres, you can't homestead that. You can only homestead 5 acres. But with that, we're going to see eventually it's going to cause the county and potentially the city to have to raise millage, because as you're locking these values, we're getting revenue increases from everywhere else. So it's a decision we have to make, actually pretty soon if we want to get it on the ballot in November, if we want to do it next, whenever we want to do it, but and have that discussion with the public and with the city on who do we want paying the taxes, because we're a growing community. Morgan County and Madison aren't going to stop growing. We are going to grow. How that growth happens is still to be seen, but we're going to continue to grow. So we've got to fund that growth. And how are we going to fund that growth? Are we going to fund it from the property owners and their property taxes, or do we want to fund it from everyone who spends money in Morgan County? The thousands of people that pass by every day on I-20 that stop in at the Loves and use their credit card, to the person that owns property in Morgan County and goes and buys something on their phone now. I don't know if you know, but last year the General Assembly passed a bill that were all digital downloads, which a majority of people do on their phone. Now we get those sales tax revenues back in the county, the zip code of the credit card is registered at. So there's a lot of things to, I know everybody's tired of, that's just another penny sales tax, you're just taxing me to death. And I get it, I say the same thing. But now being on this side of it and understanding more of who's paying the bills, basically. And with us having I-20 and 441, we've got people that come in our community and they just leave footprints and some money. And we want them funding them everything we can, I feel, that can take burden off of property tax owners and allow House Bill 581 to do what it was supposed to do, which is allow our community to age in place and not be pushed out because the values are going up so high and they can't afford the tax bill.
To me, this is a no-brainer. put it out there and let folks vote on it. If they don't wanna do it, that's fine, but it's their choice. And like he said, we'd probably get 30% or more of our, sales tax from people passing through.
And not to say we want to do what Oconee County did or even could do what they did, but you look at what happened with Oconee County when they went after Costco and they got Costco up there. You know, Costco brings in people from a 60-mile radius to spend money. Oconee County's mill right now is 5. Ours is 9. You know, there's a big difference in what, you know, when you have those kind of things there and then you add those penny sales tax, it diverts that onto the people that are spending money, not the property owners.
Well, you know, there's no doubt that in Morgan County, we're really fortunate, like Ben says, that so many of our sales tax payers don't live here. They just give us their money and they go to other counties and then demand services from them. So that's, yeah, the interstate, exactly. We're right off, exactly. So that's certainly an argument for it. An argument against it, though, is that right now I think there's 160 counties in Georgia, and I believe maybe 6 or 8 of them are up against the 9% state mandated sales tax cap. State puts on 4%, other counties can put up an additional 5%. But only 6 out of right now, before the floss option comes in, only 6 out of the 160, or 8 out of 160, are at the 9% cap. If we did the 1% for the floss, we would also be one of those ones at the 9% cap. We won't be alone because there'll be plenty of other counties that are facing the same problem that we are. But is that where we want to be? I mean, we've got 5%, you know, between floss and sploss and T-sploss and sploss, and I mean, do we really want to be up to 9, the max?
No, I mean, but I think that's where it's education for us to educate the community and then to make the decision on who do we want to pay the bill. You know, that's what I was getting at earlier. It's the bill's not going down. Our bills are going to continue to go up. So who do we want to pay for it? And in my opinion, if we could have 15 pennies out there, I'd rather, and we reduce the millage down, we're allowing those citizens we're allowing our community to shift that burden, the tax burden, from the property owner to everyone, you know, whoever's spending the most. I mean,
It was a few months ago, one of my constituents was urging me to do what I could to stop the bill 851 or whatever. Is that it, 851?
581.
581, yeah. And I said, well, far be it from me to stand in the way of the first and only property tax relief bill that I've seen in my 19 years in Georgia. You know, I mean, so.
And there was a lot of contention against that bill because it was our state legislator pushing down to us at the local level on, here, this is what you're going to do. Instead of us being able to make the decision, like Henry County's had a in-place floating homestead exemption in place for years now, but they just had to raise their millage rate because they didn't have the option of floss. So the good part about the state legislator doing is them adding that floss caveat in there where we could recoup that, because different than SPLOST and T-SPLOST and LOST and all the other acronyms, floss can only go to reduce the millage rate.
Yeah.
So it can't go, we're going to keep this money over here and we're going to spend it on this road later, we're going to buy a new tractor with it. It's got to go to reduction of property tax.
Well, with the expected loss, the diminishing of property tax revenue for counties, it's not going to hit next week. It's not going to hit maybe next year.
No, it's going to be about
It's going to be,
3 or 4
I mean, you're not
years
really
out.
going to feel the revenue loss for a year, 2 years, 3 years. I mean,
But again, we could already be reducing what our property tax payers are paying now if we go ahead and get the floss going, because again, it's not money that we can decide to do anything else with other than reduce people's property tax bills with. And it's not money that's just coming from Morgan County citizens. It's coming from those people that are stopping at Love's, that are coming by to do the tour of homes and things of that nature. And it's a conversation I think we just have to have. I think we got to get all the information. I know Dante Handel at the ACCG is very well versed in it. He used to work for the Department of Revenue, and he's told me he's more willing to come down if we do want to do town halls, if we want to do combined ones, and have him there to answer questions and bring, you know, actual facts from the Department of Revenue to show, you know, what floss would do for the community. So.
And you don't have to do a whole penny. You can do a half penny.
Mhm, yeah.
Whatever. But you're gonna do it.
Agreed.
Blake, I think it's the best kind of tax we can have in a county, in a city that has so many out-of-town folks coming and spending money with us. My concern is, though, the timing of it. There's a lot of uncertainty going on right now, and I would hate for it to affect any of our other local option sales taxes, the education or the T-SPOS or any of them, because then you're just swapping dollars, right? And
Yeah.
if you saved at the floss, but everyone in the county had to pay more toward the school system, that kind of thing. So education would be, I mean, absolutely paramount in that, so that it doesn't feel like, to those who don't live it every day and work in it, that we're just taxing them.
No, 100%, because if I would have not been at all the classes and heard all that, and you said, add another penny of it, get out of here with all that trying to get my money, go on government, I don't want you to take them any more than you're already getting. But when we really understand it, I think that's where it's, if we have the meetings, and especially with us, if we have joint meetings, I think that'll really show the public, hey, we're being serious about these funds and really want to educate you to make the decision. We're going to have to get the money either way. We're either going to have to raise your millage rate on down the road, or figure out other ways to get this revenue. But it's a great option, and everybody pays their fair share, and it's also people from outside the community contributing to our government.
Okay, and what else? If not, we're about to come to a close, but this discussion.
Mayor, if I could just add one thing to what Philip said. I was kind of in the previous subject, but we kind of moved on. I just wanted to, I think Philip asked two really important questions in my mind, and that is, what population do we want for Madison and Morgan County? What kind of growth rate is really what we see is best for us? And the second one, I think, was how many jobs do we want? How many jobs are important to us as a community? And I think you posited both those questions, and I would love to see maybe some consensus or some answers in that area as we kind of work together.
And if I may, I'm a real next step person. So we've sat here and we've talked and we've discussed stuff. So what are our next steps? What are some concrete things that we are going to do?
We're going to meet at Ben's house
Okay.
in a month.
Barbecue?
No?
You cook brisket? Yeah,
Maybe
no.
not.
So what, after all this discussion, what do we want to, what's coming out of this that's going to be concrete?
I would like to suggest we set up a follow-up meeting
Okay.
to come back, and maybe once we get staff to give us I know we've discussed, and I think staff understands we want to do this comprehensive plan jointly. And I think the comprehensive plan kind of encompasses the economic development, because that subject's in there. And then FLOSS, again, this is just a conversation with FLOSS. I think we need to continue that, and maybe at the next meeting we have set a concrete town hall date if that's the direction we decide to go in, but just continue that conversation. Mary Perryman just mentioned a minute ago, we're getting close to the finishing of the rec center, the community center. And it may be a good idea to maybe have the next meeting there. It'd be also a way to bring the city out there to the new
Oh, yeah.
community center and see it and
Beautiful.
have a meeting there. Don't know exactly when that's going to be, but we're very hopeful it'll be by June. So maybe we look for end of June to do another meeting, or maybe we push it out a little
Do
further.
you want to be quarterly? Every 3 months?
Well, no, no. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'd like your suggestion, maybe a month, 6 weeks, to get something going. I mean, we to get the momentum. I think if we did quarterly, I think the momentum might not be there. I didn't mean to sound excited. I get excited, But I mean, personally, and it's up to you guys. My opinion is that we kind of get a momentum going and stick with that and then back off. I do, my only other question, so the next steps would be a follow-up meeting, and then we can figure out when that would be. Do we want to think about doing a joint survey, assessment survey, whether it be an economic plan survey or a impact assessment? Or do you guys want to kind of give it some thought, and we can give it some thought? Any ideas about that?
I think that if we give it some thought, and that way we come back and if we say, hey, we are going to collaborate on the comprehensive plan, I think at that point, that's when the surveys, I know they actually have surveys that'll initiate on the comprehensive plan that'll go out, and if we want to change it or tweak it or do our own, I think we could do that at that point to make sure we don't have duplication and, citizens getting email about the comp plan, then we're sending out one on something else, but,
Okay.
I think it's a good idea.
So let me ask you this, would we be better off having some kind of economic development plan that we take to the comprehensive plan and let them work that in the comprehensive plan, or would it be better to have the comprehensive plan, because they gotta have some kind of guidance?
I think that's something that staff would hopefully be able to bring to us when we're talking about it. Staff should be able to tell us, hey, and this is just Blake thinking, is in the comprehensive plan, there's, we gotta get the zoning part of it. Where do we want this industry, and then what kind of industry do we want there, and those kind of things. But no, yeah, we do need to, I think, specify it out, but I think the comprehensive plan should come first.
Well, I think it's almost a hand-in-hand kind of
Yeah.
thing. I mean, not to say that the comprehensive plan shouldn't be worked
Yeah.
on first, but to be more informed, to be fully informed, then we have the data from that as well that kind of informs, I think. But again, like you, I agree with you. I think the staff could figure that out for us. If we just sort of say, here's what we're thinking about, that they can tell us make some suggestions.
How to best accomplish it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, can we sort of set a time frame tonight, so we won't worry about
That's
when would
great.
be a good time, and I'm,
Would you want to aim for the opening of the rec center?
I would say a little bit after it, let's maybe
Yeah,
work a few
after.
kinks out, but maybe do it
I
late
didn't mean
June.
the ribbon cutting day, but,
Yeah, maybe mid, late June.
Okay.
I know June is it's a busy time for our city.
Okay.
And we have a lot
Yeah.
planned for the month of June, so,
For our city, we do.
maybe,
Huge budget month too, so
Okay.
staff's gonna be really busy
yeah.
working on
And we've got a bunch of meetings, I'm sure you do too, on budgets.
a lot of stuff's going on, we've got to wrap stuff up.
June, July,
This is a really busy time of year, it's probably not the
July.
greatest time in the world for them to be able to get together and find stuff on their schedule.
Sure.
This next month. Just one of those.
Yeah.
Into July, maybe, better for everybody.
Or even early July, when the budgets are all.
Yeah, I was just saying with the 4th of July, I know we're gonna have a lot of,
Yeah,
stuff around
okay.
that, so maybe late July.
late July, maybe around the last of July.
Let's do it on your birthday.
So can we make it, since the county's gonna be sponsoring the next meeting, can we make it a dinner meeting? Blake?
Town 220.
Yeah.
Ramen noodles and Vienna sausages for everybody. Yeah.
We got oranges and bananas, you guys got Town 220.
Are there days that work better? I mean, I'm sort of looking, Thursday, the 24th of July, Friday, the 25th. Again, I'm not necessarily trying to hammer something down, but if we kind of had a tentative something going, are there specific days for you that work better than others?
It just depends, and I think it depends I think we could make it work.
I'm not available the 24th.
The 4-H has got,
Working hours.
4-H Congress, the 24th that evening.
25th?
And I like the banana.
Could we do the 25th
Didn't
of
mean to
July?
denigrate the
Anybody?
bananas.
I'm out on Thursday and Friday of that week.
Okay.
23rd?
So what's the last week of July? What's the last?
Thanks.
The
Nice
28th
bit.
through the
last
1st
Nice
of
try,
August.
nice try. Well, then we got that week following to the 28th, the 29th, so forth and so on. I got nothing that whole
I got
week.
nothing that week I could do.
Anybody,
You want a
28th?
tentative, is the 28th on a Thursday?
It's a Monday, it's the
Monday.
28th.
31st is that Thursday?
That gets pushing it out too much. 26th was the 26th. Well, that's August. Well, could we tentatively say, where's July? Oh, there's July. Monday, the 28th, is that, or Tuesday, the 29th?
I say Tuesday, the 29th.
Okay, Tuesday, the 29th?
It sounds good for everybody, Tuesday the 29th,
All right.
tentatively,
Yep,
and if things changes, Blake, then I will let you know. Yeah. Okay.
thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank y'all.
Is it a
Any more
certain
comments
time?
from
I think we said a dinner, so you want to do 5:30 or
Dinner?
5:30 meeting?
or 6, whatever?
Oh, good, are we really gonna do dinner? We'll be potluck, I'll bring some.
Definitely not.
All right, please help yourself to refreshments on your way out, and
No
thank you so
problem.
much.
Thank you.